Okay, hi again, everyone. I'm on part 3 of my rundown of reading for March, and I'm on to the books that I didn't love as much. These are uh, three rated 3.5 or lower, and I'm just gonna give you a little bit of why. And if you liked any of these books, obviously, I'm glad for you. I mean, everybody should read what they like. I'm not, I don't need to give a disclaimer. You all know how this works at this point. I realized when I got to the end that I forgot to talk about one other book that I read this month, and I'm going to throw this in here because I gave it 3.5 stars. It's The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. Um, I wanted to like this book. It had an interesting trope. It's like a professional ghostwriter who grew up in a funeral home, falls in love with her editor, who then is a ghost. Um, so it was a suspend your disbelief and just kind of go with it kind of book. It was not horrible. I enjoyed the relationship that they developed. It was very sweet. It felt, like a real love story. But I just also felt like there were other things going on in the book that I was more interested in, and their relationship kind of became like tedious after a while, and I kind of just was like, okay, where's this going? It You learn that she, as a teenager, had solved a mystery in her hometown because of her ability to speak to ghosts, and I was sort of sitting there like, why? Where's that book? I want to read that book. And then also like her town sort of like casts her out because of her ability to do that. And I just kind of had a very hard time believing that. Even though my belief was already suspended for the rest of the plot, I struggled with some of those things. Her family, their attitudes, just the character motivations and feelings, weird. So not horrible. It definitely is sweet. If you're into like death and that kind of stuff, you'd probably like it. It's a dark one, but it's also like very uplifting. So there you go. The first one is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I'll give it a 3.5, but Alex, like, I expected so much more from you. I really liked Silent Patient and I liked The Maidens. I know that those are, a little bit controversial with how people feel about them, but in general, I did really like both those books, and I do still think that he's a really solid writer, and I found the writing in the book good. It's just that the plot was a little bit lacking. I liked the setting a lot. I liked they were on like an island in Greece. That was nice. I liked some of the side characters, like the groundskeeper and the maid. I kind of wanted like more of them. Like, what's going on with those two? There was definitely some like intrigue and interesting things happening that kind of gave the book some momentum and made it sort of interesting. And I will say that this book manages to accomplish something that I've always kind of wanted to try to do in writing a book. I will get into it. I think I'm going to make another video where I give some spoilers for some of the thrillers I've read because I kind of have something that I'd like to say about it. But I respected the book for doing this thing that I think is kind of hard to do in a thriller. Also, I don't mind an unreliable narrator. I think that is kind of an interesting trope. I just thought that this guy was so pretentious and unlikable that I seriously was like, oh my God. I also recommend not reading the audiobook of this if you're going to read it because the narrator had that kind of British pretentious voice that just made Elliot like worse than he already was, and that was hard for me. I'm using this peel off lip liner and stain, so that's why it looks like this. It won't be like this at the end, but I need to let it sit for a few minutes while I put on my lashes and talk about the other books. So I'm also going to be trying this iLore London Pro Magnetic lashes. I just liked the look of these lashes, so I got it at Target. We'll just try this out. Next up, I'm going to be talking about The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I gave this 3.5 stars. Um, I'm sorry, TikTok. I know that a lot of people like this book, and if you're one of them, you have nothing to be ashamed of it. I understand why people like it. It's good. It's just not great. It's 100% plot, and so if that's what you're looking for, like, great, because it is 100% plot. If you like 100% plot thriller, you probably would enjoy this. I just felt like there was like no attempt made at character development. Characters are very 2D. The dialogue exists solely to advance the plot. And it's a little bit trying at times. That being said, I did finish this book in one afternoon. I had a flight to Florida, so it was like a 3-hour flight, and I finished most of it on the flight and finished the rest when I got there. And so, it is good for that. It does have momentum. It's going to keep you engaged. It did keep me engaged. I just felt like I did a lot of eye rolling throughout. Next, I read The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding. Again, I'm sorry, TikTok. I know a lot of people like this one. Um, this is one of those no one's what they seem, but you hate them anyway, and so you kind of stop caring. That's how I felt about it. A woman's down on her luck and she's living in her car. Honestly, she kind of seems like she deserves it. She doesn't seem like a great person. Like she's done some like really not great stuff. Um, she saves a drowning woman one day and they become, I don't want to say friends because I don't want to sully the name of friendship with what they are. I don't know. I didn't get it. I kind of saw right away what was going on. Like everybody in the book is just despicable. And it's like, um, there were some moments where you were like, oh, that's interesting. But you did kind of also see it coming. So I don't know. Not great. I just kind of wanted them all to drown by the end, honestly. I feel like this needs more of an intense cat eye. So the next book is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This was a Reese Witherspoon pick, and Reese, I normally love your picks. Maybe I'm just kind of getting tired of thrillers. I am going to make a companion spoiler heavy video, like I said, to talk about some of the things that I don't love seeing, like patterns going on in thrillers at the moment. This book had potential. The main character is actually like interesting. She's got some development going on. She's like a hired hitman or like a hired ruiner of people's lives. I'm not exactly sure. It was a little confusing. I might have cared more, but I just really didn't connect with her because I just didn't see anything like of value in her. Um, I also don't love when like a relationship is being sold to me as like growing stronger and stronger and more solid, but the only basis that I see is that they're both hot. Like that is just a really big struggle for me, as I'm sure it is for many. On to a book that I DNF'd. I hate to say this, but The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. Abby, yours truly was one of my favorite romances that I read. This one is not. I really, really struggled with this one. It might have been personal to me because, you know, anytime there's some infertility issues, I mean, I have infertility, and my husband and I adopted. And so because of that, I don't know, books and TV and movies that kind of present adoption as like this option that people don't even want to think about, that really just like grinds my gears and it's a little bit triggering to me. I don't like the closed-mindedness around adoption, especially if it doesn't end in adoption or if it doesn't like end in like somebody realizing that it's a good choice. Also, books where infertile women suddenly pop out a child and all is fixed without dealing with like all the other stuff. That to me is like unforgivable. I just, hard nope. I'm sorry. I feel like with this bronze look, I need a nice gold highlighter. So I'm gonna end on like a happy note and talk about that my son and I finished the last Ramona book, which ends with Ramona's World. Let me just say the ending, like gut punch in the best way. The 10-year-old in Ramona spoke to my inner child. The teenager in Beezus spoke to my inner teen. And the mom, Dorothy Quimby, has my heart. Even though these books were written like in the 60s, 70s, you know, whatever, it's so relevant. All of their struggles, being women, being female, being mothers, being in school, all of these things, they're so, so relevant. Beverly Cleary understands some shit, and she communicated them so beautifully in these books. They will stick with me forever. So, my real winner of March is Ramona, and Miss Beverly Cleary, here's to you, and I will see you next time. Bye.